Triple C Collective, and
Collin here.
And we are ready to bring you episode 3 of Ahsoka, Time to Fly. And before we even dive into the episode, my first note here, we were even just talking about it right before we started recording now, is the music.
Mm-hmm.
I loved the music, even like because they changed it for like the helmet intro here.
Yeah, and even the helmets in this one, because like each episode has been a little different. Yeah. Sometimes one time it was all red, and now this time it's back to blue and red. It's fun. Yeah. So that's fun. A little fun little thing too.
And so I just really wanted to call that out here before we head off and dive into the Tocitos here at the beginning. But yeah, Kevin Kleiner, right? Kiner.
Yeah, Kevin Kiner did the music on Ahsoka. Figured we might as well shout him out.
Yeah.
Since he clearly did a great score for this that's I think gonna live on.
Well, you know where Mr. Kiner comes from, right?
No, I don't.
Comes from Clone Wars, baby.
Oh yeah, for sure.
He does the music and he does some. I think even directing of maybe an episode or two of Clone Wars.
Sick.
So I've been rewatching the original animated Clone Wars with my daughter recently to try and like wedge Star Wars into her life.
Oh, yeah.
And so like it's a great place to start for anyone. And I see his name pop up a whole bunch, and he definitely has done the score or all of the scores, which is 6 seasons and stuff. But it also makes sense then bringing back Kiner to do the music for Ahsoka, the guy who has been literally doing the music for Ahsoka and made the themes for Ahsoka originally in the animated series.
Hey,
so that wasn't even on any of our notes to bring that thing full circle like that. So that was sweet. But that's what Ahsoka does. That's what Star Wars does. It brings us together.
Yeah, exactly.
It shows us.
There's always some full circle stuff going on.
Exactly.
George Lucas, once he brings you in, you're in. But yeah, so they're going through hyperspace here. They're traveling to Cetos, like you said, or Cetos, and they are training. Sabine's training with Hu Yang here, and Hu Yang is doing that brutally honest thing again, and it's hilarious. It's awesome. I'm glad somebody's telling her she's the worst.
David Tennant is so
but
awesome.
She's not the worst because she has had some compared to like the regular average Joe or even the regular average Mandalorian. Yeah. She maybe knows a little more about lightsaber training specifically because she's had work with Kanan and Ezra with the Darksaber specifically, which we've seen Din Djarin use. It's not that easy to use.
Right.
And she at least was able to wield that. Kind of like more like Bo-Katan. And so that's an interesting scene here because we see her that she's still not is like Jedi level, which Hu Yang is used to.
Yeah.
So Hu Yang just keeps popping it in her head. You're not good, right?
Yeah, and his whole like not good, but not bad.
Right. Yeah, they're using one of those Bakken swords. It's a wooden sword, basically. Yeah. And they're using that to train, and he's got like the General Grievous arms going.
Yeah,
basically.
That was so wild. I was just like, oh man, I'm waiting for
cool.
somebody to take control of like Hu Yang here.
Yeah, I want Hu Yang to grab all the because in the background when Ahsoka's kind of steps in, she's like, all right, let's see what you got. And she steps in and she opens this like back door and there's like a bunch of lightsabers. I'm like, I want Hu Yang to have all those. Yeah. Like whatever. But I think that was a cool little thing too. And she grabs this like helmet that basically like she puts on Sabine.
It's we've
seen it. We've seen this type of helmet before.
We've seen this type of helmet and we've seen a version of this training since Star Wars since A New Hope. Yep. And it's awesome. And they call
and then it also reminded me of
Zakachi, I believe is what they call it.
Yeah, in real life. Correct. Yeah. Which is like a
Hu Yang
the blind samurai.
Again, Hu Yang though always being like just the Debbie Downer or just like cutting like just being so brutally honest is like. Yeah, I don't think she's ready for that. Yeah, like definitely not. Yeah. And like, and Ahsoka's just like, hey, easy, hold my beer. Like
you're like doing too much right now. Ahsoka's like kind of like, your skills with your weapons are great. Like we can't get me wrong. Your skill that all comes from your Mandalorian upbringing, but that's not going to be enough. You know what I mean? Going forward, you need to be more than just like basing your skills on just offense and knowing your weapons well and that type of training. You need to open your mind to the Force and that goes on to this scene where like it's really cool, well done, like how she just keeps popping up in different areas, and we as the audience don't know where Ahsoka's gonna pop up next because we're focused right on Sabine in this part. Yeah.
It's so great, and you know, like all of this is this whole sequence is great, but Ahsoka is also very like, you know, reassuring.
Yeah.
And stuff during it, like, you know,
this is the first episode where that like shell I feel like starts coming off a little bit. She's still definitely more like, I think that's her major flaw as a character is she's too isolated. She isolates herself to a degree, which is understandable considering what's happened to her. But it's starting to like shed back off where she's seeing Sabine as family and understands that what she needs to do.
Yeah, she's really understanding like how she needs to like train her as like not just like, as she even says to Huang later on, like, I'm not trying to train her as a Jedi.
Right.
I need her to be herself.
Right.
You know, like
she sees the capabilities in people who wouldn't be seen as capable in the Jedi Order back in the day.
Right.
Because of whatever reason, corruptibility or just, you know, the midichlorian counts. Which, you know, to a degree is one thing, but it does seem they're going in a new direction in Star Wars, and I appreciate it. Because they've always hinted at that. There's always been hints that, does Han Solo kind of tap into the Force a little bit? You know, like, there's always been that. Well, especially amongst the fans.
And even when we get it a little bit after this title sequence here, so like, they go on. Which
again, another sick. Yeah, the music is so sick during that title card.
But at the end of this like little training session with the helmet and the tapping and like the popping up and everything, it ends with like that little bit of anger and frustration from Sabine. So like I remember seeing this and like Ahsoka says so much to Sabine and to us, the audience, like, you know, anger and frustration. You know, it's quick to power, but it also leaves you unbalanced.
Yeah, exactly.
And like that's ultimately why Ahsoka overcomes Sabine in this training.
Like the one she does take she finally does like kind of like get at Ahsoka's Bakken stick, and but Ahsoka quickly literally trips her. Yeah. So literally unbalanced, and you see, so it's, you know, how Star Wars does that rhyming thing. Yeah. And
it's like poetry. It rhymes.
Yeah. So after the title scene though, title card, you get the New Republic fleet coming down. These I don't even know what to call them. These ships coming down.
Starships,
Yeah, and then there's the Home One we see again, and they're hovering above some planet. I'm not sure, and this is where Hera goes to meet the council basically to get permission to help
the senators. Ahsoka. She meets all the senators. We get to see Mon Mothma. Again. Yeah. And like, you know, like seeing her pop up now, like in everything, like in the new Star Wars era and stuff, has been great. Yeah. Seeing her in Andor was so awesome.
Oh, absolutely. She's Chancellor. She's first Chancellor Mon Mothma. She's Mon Mothma now. There's 4 other senators. There's Senator Rodrigo, Senator Mawood, and then the other senator, I don't know his name.
Zeno?
No. The one at the corner and all the way to the right. He's like a part of the grand race. But then there is Senator Amato Ziano, and his son is in the animated show Star Wars Resistance.
Oh, okay.
And he's even in it as kind of like a stick in the mud character still. So even down the line, his son tries to join the Resistance, and he's like, no. So like clearly he's like this kind of character, and he's a bureaucrat basically, and like Hera calls him out. It's pretty nice.
This is so like this back and forth here is such a chess match.
Yep.
Of like moving pieces around and stuff, and like, you know, Zeno here, he wants no part.
Yeah.
He's like
Hera,
he's a
fence sitter.
Of like Hera doing anything. He's like, oh, so you want to go on this thing to Cetos to go check out Thrawn, but didn't Ezra disappear with Thrawn? Aren't you always just looking for Ezra? And she's like, well, I've got like real reason to believe that Thrawn is a threat, and he's going to come back.
Considering the allegiance to the Empire that we just found out, and how deep it goes, and they even admit in this part, they're like, all over we have Imperial officers working. Like, it's like no big deal, and it is kind of funny, like how they think about it. Like when we just saw in the previous episode, like the whole crew stood up.
That whole outfit, that whole outfit there was like, no, we are Imperials. Ha ha, Republic.
So the fact that Hera is going here and they're giving her no heed.
Yeah. Except for a girl.
Yeah.
Except for a girl, Mom Mothma. And, like, she's the only one.
Who's the one, I'm assuming, talks to someone else.
Yeah, well, no, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. But she, so Mon Mothma calms it all down, but Hera lays it on him and is like, hey, did you fight in the...
Were you in the war by any chance?
Like, did you fight in the war? And he's like, no. Oh, so you just sat by and waited to see who would come out on the other end? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah. So
and that's where my Mothma was like, okay. I'm gonna convene with the other senators here. We'll get back to you, Hera. Promise you.
Another point that Mom Mothma brought up before all that, she brought up Jason, which I was like, oh my god.
Right.
Hera's got Jason, because that was the thing, like, question I had, because we saw Hera. It's like, where's your kid and all that?
Yeah.
We saw Chopper. We haven't seen your kid, but he was hanging out with Chopper. Turns out, who we see in this next scene. It's pretty cool. He's an upgrade from the way he looked in Rebels, in my opinion.
Yeah.
He kind of looked like a cursed what are those, Garbage Pail Kids?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's kind of what he looked like. But like, what do you think here? Like, are they stupid, or like are these senators like complicit in all of this?
Oh, you think, are they like actual like
at least some of them?
Imperials?
I mean, clearly, not all of them are, and maybe even Ziano is like, he's not, maybe, but like he's just so. I think he's incompetent. Yeah, I think they're playing him maybe up as a.
I think he's the red herring of an Imperial spy or whatever. Right. I think he truly is just an idiot.
Right. But none of them taking heed except, like I said, Mothma.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy.
But then we actually get to see Jason.
Right.
And like we see him, and like he's like, oh, is Aunt Chopper, but he's like, oh, is Aunt Sabine gonna be a Jedi? And and Hera's like, who told you Aunt Sabine was gonna be a Jedi? Chopper did, and then we get.
He's like, what do you want me to say? He Jason's again. He's named after. This is Filoni's way of like throwing it back to Legends again. Mm-hmm. He's named after Jason Solo from the Legends canon, where he was one of the twins. It was him and Jaina.
Yeah.
Solo, and then Anakin was the youngest Solo.
Yeah.
So that was in the Legends verse their connection here. Do I think that's gonna be some character traits? Maybe. Yeah, for sure, definitely.
Yeah.
Because even like the Han Solo, like Jason and Hera thing is kind of like they're gonna have a kind of powerful kid, and we'll see what ends up happening with him. But I'm really excited to see him enter the universe.
Yeah, it was great seeing him here. I also love how he's like, I want to be a Jedi, and it's like, yeah, you do, kid. Yeah, you do.
She did look a little worried. I can't lie.
Yeah,
she was like, oof, but Jedis die in fire.
Yeah, yeah. I want no. Let's stay away from that.
Like she's also like remembering Kanan in this moment. Like it's bittersweet, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
She's like, you're your dad.
Yeah. You're your father's child. Damn it.
Yeah.
In all the best ways, and
right. So they're pretty much out of luck. They're back to Ahsoka's shuttle.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're back on the T6. She's got she's kind of reminding Hu Yang or Sabine, sorry.
Yeah.
That like the Force isn't everything. Like you have the ability to tap into it. You just kind of, and this has been a theme with Sabine. Like she's kind of got her eyes closed
Mm-hmm.
She's not open to the possibility of the Force. Kanan used to say this, and clearly they stopped training together, so something happened. But in this, you can kind of see that she's at least trying. Sabine, she's trying to tap into it.
And it's so funny. Sabine's like, man, I was really hoping that like this urgency of our situation would help like expedite it and like,
exactly,
and like speed
which is pretty funny,
and like speed this along. And Ahsoka's like, girl, please,
exactly.
What? She's like, Force doesn't work like that, sweetheart. Like, sorry.
It is pretty good.
She's like, but the Force does flow through everything, and she's like, well, and Sabine's like, well, what about me? Why can't I control it? She's like, all right, talent's a factor, all right? I'm not gonna lie.
Midichlorians are low.
Like talent's a factor. You know, midichlorians are absolutely a thing.
But also, this is a new way. We're trying to go into this
training. And like focus and stuff, and being open to all of these things, which is again why we see the training of the helmet showing that she is still closed off. Can't see what is in front of her, and that there is that,
and even though
there.
she should be able to train without her eyes, like Kanan, one of her masters at least.
A mentor. At least.
But anyway, so she's kind of in this moment. She's closing her eyes and she's trying to. Like Ahsoka tells her to start small. Like you're trying too hard. So she's trying to pull the cup towards her, and she opens one eye, kind of like she's she's still treating it like a weapon. You know what I mean? And then she opens both eyes, and it's like, ooh, she's in. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? She's ready for this.
Yeah, that was great. And so she tries, but Ahsoka and Huyang are talking. They're like,
also having,
Yeah, they're like, so, like, how was it?
Yeah. And Ahsoka's again like, chill, dude.
like Huyang, come on, man. Like, let us build a good environment for her. Like we can tell her she's not the best, but like, come on, dude. And he's like, well, she just went in and passed any of like the Jedi protocol.
Exactly.
Any of the Jedi protocols or anything.
Which he's programmed again for Jedi training. So like again, it's just this programming, like Ahsoka will say all the time. And Ahsoka is forced to always remind everyone. But yeah, she reminds him in this moment, like, I don't want a Jedi. Yeah, I want a Sabine.
I want Sabine. I'm just
training
need her
Sabine, not a Jedi, which I thought was cool. Which is again why I understand why she didn't train Grogu, because she wouldn't have trained him as so he might as well have gone with Din. Yeah, because that's basically the same thing. So if the option were Skywalker and Din, that makes sense. But she was like, no, I'm
out. Yeah. But then Huyang though is kind of convinced by Ahsoka during their talks, like, he has standard programming and stuff, but like, he can learn, definitely, and everything, and he's old enough. And he's like, well, you know what? You come from a long line of non-traditional Jedi, and so like this kind of fits right in line
and
with that.
That does like trigger something in Ahsoka. She gives the classic smirk. Yeah. And I love another part of what he said was like there's only been a few Mandalore Jedis, which is like woo. You know what I mean? Like if you that's a cool,
and we know most of them are the Vizslas.
Yeah, exactly. So
our clan Vizsla.
Yeah, this is when they're kind of intercepted.
Yeah, right. They get out of the Cetos orbit. Yep. Well, as they're coming out of orbit, they're trying to get comms. They haven't heard from Hera. Right. Their comms are being jammed. So then, per the Jedi protocol of Huyang and everything, they drop from hyperspace at a safe distance to do a slow approach. And so like now we're in front of Cetos, like we're getting there. We're trying to figure out what's happening. Yeah,
and it's almost funny because I think the fact that they did it like that was the reason they got caught, because the enemy knew that was going to be the move. Right. So it's kind of funny. Yeah. But also so this is the point where Shin and Murak, who we finally hear talk, which is like we don't know but it's the same guy who plays him. I forget his name right now, but yeah, he
is it Sam Witwer?
No. Okay. But yeah, we hear him talk, and he sounds like, he's got that raspy. He's cool. He's a cool character. And him and Shin, who's got the Anakin thing on, to the comms.
Yeah, the old school like Anakin Clone War comms kind of
really
thing.
Cool.
Yeah. That's actually so great. It
so
really
this one, she's like, get down to the gun pit to the.
Ahsoka says it to Sabine, and Sabine's like, you got rid of all my presets, and Ahsoka's like, yeah, I didn't need it.
Right. Exactly. She's like, I never needed those. Those were
those were for you.
Exactly.
So Ahsoka starts basically training. They train each other here.
Exactly.
Like, because Ahsoka's like, all right, you need to start anticipating. You need to do this. You need to do that. You're just rusty. You'll be fine. Don't worry. It'll be okay. Like, you'll be able to get this. Like, once you get once you work through it or whatever.
Exactly.
Get the kinks out. Is the
word. Yeah. Exactly.
But it's just not happening. Sabine's missing every single shot.
Yeah.
Hewing is like, there's another object here that like I'm trying to get readings for. I don't know what's going on with that. You guys need to deal with like these ships and stuff. I'm going to try and get
there's
these
something
readings.
here I've never seen before.
Yeah.
There's hyper. It looks like it's something larger than I've ever seen used for something with this many hyperdrives.
Right.
And so they finally do start approaching closer, and he's like, oh man, it's the IS Ion, and they don't know that yet, so he needs to figure it out, so he needs to run diagnostics, and in that they need to get closer,
right,
by running away from Shin and Marak here, and
they also need to take out some of them people too. So Ahsoka figures
something out. She makes a move.
She does a pivot. You know, she does the halftime. She does the halftime change.
Yeah.
She adjusts.
Super Star Wars-y.
She adjusts at halftime here. She changes the plays. She mixes it up a little bit, and she's just like, all right, Sabine, what do you need from me?
Yeah.
All right, and Sabine starts directing then Ahsoka on where to drive, how to do this, to where to leave the enemies available for her easy slim pickings.
Yep.
And she does it. She takes out like 3 out of the 6 of them pretty quickly.
Yeah, it reminds you of the move Rey pulls.
Yep.
When she stops the engines in the Millennium Falcon, and Finn shoots the fighter out of the sky.
Well, I mean, if I'm being truly honest, what the Ahsoka and Sabine thing reminded me most of is the first time Han and Luke are firing against the TIE fighters together. Like that really, it like almost to like the positioning of things and stuff, of like how Sabine is set, how it's even like framed and stuff. Like it's pretty close to that. And I mean, again, it's poetry.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
And it's also 2 people who were around during that time.
Oh yeah,
who weren't featured in them because obviously they were created afterwards. But then get their kind of own moment of it. Ah man, it's great. I love Dave Filoni. He's always sprinkling all that beautiful stuff.
But another move that we see here, because Ahsoka comes up with Plan X.
Yeah,
she gets in her spacesuit, and which is pretty cool looking. It's she goes outside in the spacesuit, and she does another thing that's kind of like Rey, where Rey flips over the Kylo Ren's fighter and cuts it with her sabers. Ahsoka does that twice.
You know what? I was thinking of Star Wars Visions with the brother and sister when they're fighting and stuff outside. I was thinking of that the entire time of like this Ahsoka thing.
Oh, it was so good, but it was so fun. Like it was it's such an Ahsoka thing to do.
Yeah,
go
absolutely.
out and just like cut down some fighters.
I just liked when she's like floating there and she's like, "Please come get me."
Yeah, exactly.
She's like, "Please come get me," and that's so great. Yeah, but they get rid of them. They head into the clouds of Cetos to lose Shin and Marak and everybody. Sabine finally gets Ahsoka.
Yeah, Huyang finally gets all the information.
And yeah, Huyang gets all the information, downloads all the facts about the Eye of Sion, all the different hyperdrives. Kind of says that it's kind of insane at the amount of power and distance that it can, or the speed and distance that it can go.
Right.
And Ahsoka's like, hey, it can maybe go to another galaxy far, far away?
Right.
Possibly.
Right. So like he's basically saying that this was at one time like Jedi knowledge.
Yeah.
Like it's been again taught as myth mostly, but there was a point where the Jedi used this area to travel between galaxies.
Yep.
Using the routes the Purgils use.
Right. Well, and then so one thing we didn't say is Ahsoka was outside of the ship because their ship got hit. Huyang also went down.
Yeah, he was out for a minute.
He was out. All power was lost.
Which is pretty funny.
And yeah, absolutely hilarious. So then, as they were going through the clouds and got the power back on, Huyang hadn't rebooted yet. So we skipped that little bit. But in that reboot time, they also see Purgils. And it's at this point when Huyang mentions, like, oh yeah, it's the Purgils, like, pathways and stuff. And Ahsoka's like, oh, you mean like the ones we just saw? And Huyang's like, just saw. When did we see these?
Yeah.
When did we see these?
Right.
And so they get like pretty excited about that being like, you know, like maybe we can get to Thrawn and maybe we can find Ezra. Like,
yeah.
You know, maybe we can actually do this and get there. And so the other bit that Huyang gets is they're in mid-construction still of the Eye of Sion.
Right.
That they are 5 out of the 6 hyperdrives are installed, but they're installing the 6th one. It's getting in place, and that's where he also talks about like the astonishing distance and speed and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Then we cut to Balon, and we're back at like what I'll call like the cradle of the map,
right.
Basically. It's
like, basically almost the same scene where we saw him looking up at the Purgil, but this time we're seeing him looking up. Yeah. So like it's more on his face. And like during that scene, we didn't know he was probably feeling Ahsoka out in those clouds. Yeah, that's exactly what he was probably doing. But you know, Balon then's like, all right, well, if their Shin comes back and says like, you know, we lost them, right? They're in the forest somewhere. So Balon goes and sends out the hunters into the forest after Ahsoka and Sabine, and that's basically that's the episode was short and sweet. It was it got a lot done. There was a lot of action in it, but it laid a lot out. Yeah. For the next couple episodes, I feel like. And we get to see Filoni directing again in episode 5. Yeah. So yeah, this next episode's gonna wrap up pretty much what's going on from here. Yeah. Yeah. So let's episode 4 will be next. Super excited for it. We want to thank you all for joining us. I am Jimmy. And I'm Collin. And we hope you all stay safe. Please like and subscribe to this video and to our channel. And as always, may the Force be with you.